Welcome back to another video on CSS Grid. Today we are going to explore a little bit more what the implicit grid is. So let's go with the code. We're going to change a few things here to make everything a little bit more legible. So we're going to give it like a small background. I'm going to give it like a padding 2 rams, for instance. 1 pixel solid 0. All right, perfect. And we're also going to give it a color, let's say white. Perfect. And here, let's say everything is going to be way darker. All right, so we focus on the model itself. So now that this is done, we can add elements here. So let's say we want to have h1 saying login. You see that the login itself takes the first cell as expected. So we can go here and say that body model h1 is going to take 2 cells, for instance. So you just can go and say grid column. If you just specify span 2, it's going to take 2 cells, so 2 columns. And you can see here logins take my 2 columns in my model. And now the question is, what does happen when you actually overflow your grid? So if you add another element, what's going to happen? So in my case, I want to add an input. It's going to be with the placeholder username, for instance. And if I save this, you see that I get a new row automatically added, and my element gets placed in the first cell. So if we repeat what we've done here for the body, we want here to just say it's not h1 anymore, but it's like all of the inputs. It's going to take a span of 2 columns, and then we can say 1 rem for the padding, for instance. And you can see now that my input is actually taking 2 columns again. And we are going to add another one. Let's say, for instance, a password. Say type password. Perfect. And if I save this, you can see now that all of my inputs span 2 columns, and they add new rows. Now I want you to focus a little bit here. We saw the -1 trick. So if you look here in the column tracks, you see 1, 2, 3. You also see like the opposite one, like -1, -2, -3. And this is the case because we defined here in our template, we defined 2 columns. So all of those columns are explicitly set. But you'll see that if we zoom again on the rows this time, you see 1, 2, 3, 4. But you can see on the opposite side, the -1 doesn't start at the last row. It actually starts at the last row that is defined within our code. So here it is just 1 row. If I don't define this one and I save here, you'll see that now all of my rows are implicit, sorry, non-defined. And you see that the -1 is actually the first row line as well. So in the next video, we're going to see how to fill out all of the rest of that logging model. And after that, we're going to explore a little bit of alignment and stuff you can do to make sure everything is nice. I hope to see you there. Cheers.